The royal flagship of the Valerian Queen drifted in silent space. It was a ship made for victory, built with shining black armor and living metal veins. It had crossed wars and storms between stars, but now it was still. Inside the ship, alarms did not scream. They whispered. Lights faded from gold to dull red. Energy lines blinked and went dark. The bridge was full of beings from many worlds. Tall commanders with crystal eyes. Engineers with metal skin and glowing hands. All of them were quiet. This ship was not supposed to fail. It carried the Queen herself, a ruler feared across half the galaxy. And yet the ship was dying. Deep inside the engine core, the problem made no sense. Power existed, but would not move. Commands were correct, but results were wrong. Every system waited for another system to act first. The engineers tried everything. They followed the manual. They followed tradition. They followed logic. Nothing worked. Minutes passed. Then hours. The Queen remained seated on her throne, calm and unreadable. Her eyes watched the room without anger, which made the fear worse. One by one, the best minds stepped forward and stepped back. Each report sounded the same. The system is perfect. The system should work. But it does not. Outside the ship, space was not empty. A weak gravity current pulled at the hull. Shields were offline. If pirates or rivals arrived, the royal ship would be helpless. At the back of the bridge, far from the glowing consoles, stood workers. Cleaners, loaders, maintenance crew. They were not meant to speak. They were meant to listen and obey. Among them was a human, short compared to most species, wearing a plain repair suit with faded marks. No symbols, no rank. Humans were new to galactic travel. They were known as traders, helpers, survivors, good with hands, bad with theory. At least that was the belief. The human had been sent earlier to clean and access tunnel near the engine core. When the ship lost power, the tunnel lights died too. He used a hand lamp and kept working. Because stopping did not feel right to him. He noticed something strange. Not broken metal. Not burned circuits. But hesitation. The machine waited, like it was afraid to choose. The human did not know royal design rules. He did not know sacred engineering laws. He only knew how broken things behave. He rerouted a line, then cut it again, then forced the system to pick a side. The ship did not wake up fully, but it breathed. On the bridge, lights slowly grew brighter. A single engine line responded. Not enough to move, but enough to survive. The room froze. Engineers stared at their screens. Something had changed. Something impossible. The Queen raised her hand. Silence became complete. Her voice was calm and sharp. "Who fixed this ship?" she asked. No one spoke. The engineers looked at each other. The commanders searched for blame or glory. Fear moved through the room, because the truth did not fit the order of things. At the back, the human lowered his lamp. He did not step forward yet. He waited, like someone who had learned that attention can be dangerous. A guard checked the system logs. His eyes widened. He looked again, then slowly turned. His gaze landed on the human. The room changed. Confusion became tension. Tension became disbelief. Before the Queen could speak again, let the narrator gently say this. If you enjoy calm science fiction stories with mystery and slow reveals, please consider subscribing to this channel. It helps these stories reach more listeners. The Queen's eyes followed the guard's stare. She saw the human. Small, silent, ordinary. Every being on the bridge felt the same thought. That should not be possible. The human took one step forward. Not proud. Not afraid. Just honest. The ship hummed softly around them. Alive, but waiting. And the galaxy held its breath. The guard did not speak at first. He raised his armored arm slowly and pointed toward the back of the bridge. Every eye followed the direction of his hand. Commanders turned. Engineers turned. Even the Queen turned her head. They all saw the same thing. A human, standing still near the wall, holding a simple hand lamp. For a moment no one reacted. The idea needed time to enter their minds, like a signal that refused to be understood. Then the shock arrived. Voices rose at once. Angry clicks, sharp hisses, deep roars. Disbelief filled the bridge. That is impossible. A labor unit touched the core. A human cannot access royal systems. Humans were not feared. They were not respected either. They were hired, moved cargo, cleaned tunnels, fixed simple tools. They were useful and invisible. One commander stepped forward, tall and shining in ceremonial armor. His voice carried authority and insult together. "This is a mistake," he said. "That creature does not understand our technology." Another joined him, eyes glowing with cold anger. "Humans break more than they repair. They survive by luck, not skill." The bridge filled with agreement, not loud, but sharp, like knives tapping together. The human did not move. He did not defend himself. He did not explain. He simply stood there. The queen watched him closely. She had ruled long enough to know when fear hides behind confidence. The commanders were not angry. They were afraid. A royal engineer stepped forward, holding a data tablet. His hand shook slightly. "The logs confirm it," he said. "The intervention came from a manual access port, one not assigned to any engineer." The commander snapped back. "Then the logs are corrupted." "They must be." The human finally spoke. His voice was quiet, not weak, not loud, just steady. "The ship was dying," he said. "I helped." That was all. No apology, no pride, no request for permission. The words fell into the room like weight, not heavy enough to crush, but heavy enough to be felt. Laughter burst from one side of the bridge, sharp and mocking. "You helped," a commander repeated, "as if you could understand living metal." Another added, "You are maintenance. You clean. You do not decide." The insults came easily. They were practiced. Old beliefs repeated many times before. The human listened. He had heard worse on distant stations, from pirates, from employers, from species that measured worth by height or glow. The queen raised her hand again. Silence returned instantly. She did not look at the commanders. She looked only at the human. "You touched the core," she said. "That is forbidden." The human nodded once. "Yes," he replied. No excuse followed. The queen leaned forward slightly on her throne. Her voice lowered. "Why?" she asked. The human thought for a moment, not because the answer was complex, but because it felt strange to say something so simple in such a place. "Because it was failing," he said, "and no one was stopping it." The engineers exchanged looks, some angry, some confused, some beginning to worry. A commander stepped closer to the human, towering over him. "You claim you fixed a royal ship," he said. "You claim authority you do not have." The human looked up, meeting the alien's eyes. "I do not claim authority," he said. "I only touched what was broken." The queen's fingers tightened on the arm of her throne. That word stayed with her. "Broken. Explain," she commanded. The human shook his head slowly. "Later," he said. "Right now the ship is only breathing." The bridge grew colder. Sensors confirmed it. Power levels were unstable, balanced on a thin edge. The queen stood. Her presence filled the room like gravity. She stepped down from her throne. Each step silent, each step final. She stopped in front of the human, close enough that even the commanders felt the tension. "You will speak," she said. "You will explain everything." The human did not hesitate. He did not bow. He did not resist. He simply said, "Your ship design is broken." The bridge went completely still. Not a breath, not a signal, an insult, a truth, or a warning. No one yet knew which one it was. The queen did not react at once. She did not shout. She did not punish. She simply turned and walked back to her throne. "Explain," she said calmly. Slowly, the human took a breath, not because he was afraid, but because he needed to choose words that would not sound like an insult. The bridge screen shifted. Data streams opened. Engine diagrams filled the air with glowing shapes and moving lines. The human pointed toward the largest projection. "Your technology looks perfect," he said. "It is clean, advanced, powerful. It works exactly as designed." Some engineers nodded. Others watched with crossed arms, waiting for the mistake. "But," the human continued, "there's a small loop." The words sounded harmless, too small for a royal crisis. "A logic loop," he said. Every major system waits for confirmation from another system. Each one wants permission before acting. He tapped the air gently. As long as everything is perfect, this is safe. But when something small goes wrong, no system wants to move first. The engineers frowned. They had heard this before, but never treated it as a threat. Our design avoids chaos, one engineer said sharply. It prevents mistakes. The human nodded. Yes, he replied, but it also prevents courage. A murmur moved through the bridge. That word again felt strange in a room of machines. When humans build systems, the human said, we expect failure. We assume something will break. So we leave ways to push through. He zoomed the diagram closer, showing a narrow energy path, so thin it was almost ignored. This line, he said, it was waiting for permission that would never come. A commander interrupted, voice sharp. So you broke the rule. Yes, the human said simply. He did not sound proud. He did not sound ashamed. I forced the system to choose, he continued. I removed the question and gave an answer. One engineer leaned closer to his console. His eyes widened. That should have caused a cascade failure, he whispered. The human shook his head. Only if the system was fragile, he said. Yours is strong. It just needed a push. The queen listened without moving, her face unreadable, but her silence allowed the words to grow heavier. The human continued. Humans do not always follow rules. Not because we are careless, but because survival teaches us when rules stop helping. He paused, then added quietly, when something is burning, you do not ask permission to pour water. The bridge was silent again, not hostile, not mocking, thinking. An engineer ran a deep scan, then another, their screens filled with unexpected results. Power flow is smoother, one said slowly. Efficiency increased, said another. This is not just repaired. The words hung in the air. It is better, someone finished. A low hum spread through the ship, stronger than before, steadier, like a heartbeat that had found its rhythm. Sensors updated across the bridge. Shield regeneration faster. Engine response sharper. Energy loss reduced. A commander stared at the numbers. That should not be possible, he said. Nothing was upgraded. The human lowered his hand. I did not add anything, he said. I only removed fear. Some engineers looked offended. Others looked curious. A few looked afraid. The queen finally spoke, her voice soft, almost thoughtful. You changed nothing, she said, and yet everything improved. The human nodded. Yes. A long pause followed, not empty, but full. The queen's eyes moved from screen to screen, taking in the truth her people struggled to accept. The ship was no longer failing. It was evolving. Outside, the weak gravity current no longer pulled at the hull. Shields flickered, then stabilized. Strong. The queen leaned back on her throne, hands folded, listening, watching. For the first time, she did not see a laborer. She saw a variable her empire had never calculated. And the human stood quietly in the center of the bridge, surrounded by machines that now obeyed him better than they ever had before. The bridge did not return to noise, even after the system stabilized, even after the danger passed. Silence stayed, heavy, uncomfortable. The queen studied the human for a long moment. Then she turned her gaze toward the commanders and engineers. Why, she asked. Was this species never consulted? No one answered at first, not because they did not know, but because the answer was old. An elder commander finally spoke, his voice careful. Humans are listed as a labor species, he said. Early contact reports marked them as low intelligence. Unrefined. Emotion-driven. The words sounded weak now, like excuses that had aged badly. The Galactic Council had decided long ago. Humans were useful, but not important. Strong hands, but weak minds. They were placed at the edge of decision-making, given contracts, never questions. The human listened quietly. His face did not change. He had heard these words before, on other stations, from other mouths. The queen looked back at him. Is this true? She asked. Are humans as limited as we were told? The human did not react with anger. He did not defend humanity with pride. He simply spoke. "You never asked us," he said. "You never needed us." Until now, the words were calm, but they struck harder than any insult. The Queen felt it, not as shame, but as clarity. "You assumed we could not help," the human continued. "So you built systems without us. You planned futures without us. And you were comfortable with that." Engineers shifted uneasily. Some avoided the Queen's eyes. "When humans first left our homeworld," the human said, "we did not have perfect ships. They failed. A lot." He paused, letting the truth breathe. "So we learned to listen to broken things. To notice patterns when nothing makes sense. To act when waiting means death." The Queen closed her eyes briefly. Images of past council meetings surfaced in her mind. Humans standing at the edge of halls. Quiet. Ignored. This was not malice. It was worse. It was arrogance. The bridge felt smaller now, as if the walls were listening too. "You classified us," the human said, "because classification makes the universe simple. But simple is not always correct." No one interrupted him. Even the most powerful commanders remained silent. The Queen opened her eyes, her voice softer than before. "How many humans," she asked, "could do what you did today?" The question was careful, measured, as if she feared the answer. The human did not smile. He did not hesitate. "Most of us," he said. The words landed slowly, then spread. "Not specialists. Not elites. Not royal engineers. Most." A ripple moved through the bridge. Fear, wonder, disbelief. One engineer whispered, "That would change everything." The Queen said nothing, but her hands tightened together. She was not thinking of the ship anymore. She was thinking of empires, of wars narrowly avoided, of wars narrowly won. She finally looked at the human again, not as a worker, not as an anomaly, but as a representative of something vast and unmeasured. The silence returned, heavier than before, because now the galaxy had to face a question it had never dared to ask. What else had it ignored? The silence did not feel calm anymore. It felt sharp, like something waiting to break. The commanders stood closer together now, not in unity, but in shared unease. If one human could do this, what did that mean for the balance of power? One commander finally spoke, his voice lower than before. "If humans can rewrite royal systems," he said, "what happens in war?" No one answered him, because the question was already spreading. Images formed in their minds. Human ships that did not freeze when plans failed. Human crews that did not wait for orders when systems collapsed. Another commander added quietly, "They would not fight like us." The Queen watched the human again. "You hear their fear," she said. "Answer it." The human nodded slowly. "We do not like war," he said. "It costs too much." Some commanders reacted with disbelief. Humans were known for conflict on their own world. That history was public. "Yes," the human continued, "we fight each other. Because we argue. Because we fail. Because we learn." He took a step forward, not toward the Queen, but toward the room. "When humans fight," he said, "it is not about perfection. It is about ending the problem." An engineer whispered to another, "That is worse." The human heard it and nodded. "Yes," he agreed, "it can be. We fight only when needed," he said, "but when we do, we change fast." He lifted his hand and made a simple gesture. "If a weapon fails, we change the weapon. If a plan fails, we change the plan. If rules fail, we change the rules." The bridge felt colder again, not from fear of the human, but from understanding him. The Queen leaned forward slightly. "So humans do not seek conquest," she said. "No," the human replied. "We seek survival." The word echoed softly through the chamber. A commander clenched his fists. "Survival creates conquerors," he said. "Sometimes," the human replied, "but more often, it creates problem solvers." The Queen's eyes narrowed, thoughtful. Danger and opportunity stood side by side in her mind. Humans could be allies. Humans could be disasters. Humans could be both. The sensors continued to update. The ship now ran smoother than any royal vessel on record. The proof was impossible to ignore. The Queen straightened. Her voice carried authority again. But something had changed. "This council is dismissed," she said. The word struck like a command code. Engineers froze. Commanders looked shocked. "My queen," one began. "This matter is no longer theoretical," she continued. "It is real. And I will not debate reality." One by one, the commanders bowed and retreated, their thoughts loud even in silence. Soon, only the queen, a few guards, and the human remained. The bridge felt larger now, empty, waiting. The queen looked at the human. "You will stay," she said. The human did not ask why. He simply nodded. Outside the ship, stars drifted slowly past, unaware that something had shifted. Inside, the queen studied the human not as a subject, but as a question. And questions, she knew, had the power to change empires. The private chamber was quiet, not the silence of fear, but the silence of distance from the world. The doors closed without sound. No guards followed. No advisors waited outside. Only the queen and the human. The room was smaller than the bridge. Soft light instead of sharp screens. Walls made of living crystal that slowly changed color with emotion. The queen stood near the center. Her crown rested on a low table beside her. For the first time since the crisis began, she looked like a ruler without armor. The human stood where he was told, hands relaxed at his sides, eyes steady, not impressed, not afraid. This made the queen uneasy. "You know," she said slowly, "that no human has ever stood here alone." The human nodded. "I guessed," he replied. She studied him closely, not his uniform, not his species, but the space around him. "You could have stayed silent," she said. "You could have let us fail. You could have escaped blame." Her voice lowered. "Why did you help us?" The question was simple, but it carried weight. Politics, power, fear. The human did not answer immediately. He looked at the floor, then at the wall, then back at the queen. "Because the ship was dying," he said, "and we fixed broken things." No drama followed, no speech, no claim of greatness, just a fact. The queen felt something tighten in her chest. Not anger, not suspicion, something else. "You did not do it for reward," she said. "You did not do it for recognition." "No," the human replied. "You did not fear punishment." "No." "Then you understood the risk," she said. "You understood that touching the core could cost you your life." "Yes," he said, "but letting it die would have cost many." The room's crystal walls shifted color slightly, responding to the queen's rising emotion. "You speak as if responsibility is natural," she said, "but most beings avoid it." The human gave a small shrug. "When you grow up fixing things that fail," he said, "you stop asking whose job it is." The queen turned away, looking at a distant star through a clear panel. She thought of her empire, of systems layered upon systems, all waiting for permission, all afraid to move first. "You did not ask who owned the ship," she said. "You did not ask who commanded it." "No," the human said softly. "I only saw that it was breaking." The queen felt something crack, not weakness, but illusion. All her life, she had been taught that power flowed from rank, from authority, from command, but this human had acted without any of it, and saved everything. She turned back to face him, her expression unreadable. "Do all humans think like this?" she asked. The human considered the question carefully. "Not all the time," he said, "but when something matters." "Yes." The queen took a slow step forward, then another. The human did not move. "In my empire," she said, "responsibility is assigned. It is measured. It is controlled." She paused. "But you treat it like gravity." The human nodded slightly. "It is always there," he said, "whether you acknowledge it or not." For a long moment, neither spoke. Then something unexpected happened. The queen lowered herself. Not fully, not in submission, just enough. A slight bend of the knee. A gesture older than protocol. The human's eyes widened slightly. "My queen," he said, surprised. "This is not for you alone," she replied. "It is for what you represent." The crystal walls glowed softly. as if witnessing history. I have ruled through command, the queen said. But today, I witnessed responsibility without power. She straightened slowly, her gaze sharp again, but changed. The human stood silently, not knowing that in that moment, something far greater than a ship had been repaired. The royal chamber doors opened again, not with urgency, but with purpose. The queen walked back onto the bridge, her posture steady, her expression calm. But every commander felt it. Something had changed. The human followed a few steps behind, not summoned, not escorted, simply present. The council returned to their places, ranks restored, titles remembered, but confidence was missing. The queen raised her hand. The bridge quieted at once. This incident, she said, will not be recorded as a system failure. Several commanders exchanged looks. It will be recorded, she continued, as a correction. Screens across the bridge activated. Not technical data this time, but symbols of law. Old galactic codes rewritten in real time. I issue a new decree, the queen said, her voice steady and absolute. Humanity is hereby recognized. Not as labor, not as support, but as problem solvers of the galaxy. The words moved slowly, as if the universe itself needed time to accept them. A low murmur spread. Not anger, not celebration. Shock. The queen did not stop. Humans will not rule, she said. They do not seek thrones. They will not command fleets. The human listened quietly, hands relaxed, eyes forward. But when systems fail, the queen continued, when plans collapse, when perfection breaks. She paused, letting the moment stretch. We will ask them. The bridge felt different now, less rigid, less certain, more alive. An engineer whispered to another, "This will change everything." "Yes," came the reply, but not loudly. The queen turned slightly toward the human, not placing him above others, not placing him below. "You showed us something," she said. "That strength is not always control, and intelligence is not always order." The human nodded once, as if this made sense. "Humans survive," the queen said, "because they adapt. They repair. They move forward even when the path is unclear." Outside the ship, the stars drifted on, unaware that the galaxy's rules had shifted. The decree spread quietly, not through celebration, but through data streams, through meetings, through uneasy conversations on distant worlds. Humans noticed the change slowly. A question here, a request there, access where there had been walls before. They did not celebrate. They got to work. Ships stopped dying. Stations stopped freezing. Wars paused when systems no longer failed at the wrong moment. The galaxy did not become peaceful, but it became stable. The queen watched this from afar, understanding at last. Power had always tried to dominate chaos. Humans simply learned to live with it. On the royal flagship, now stronger than ever, the human prepared to return to maintenance. No medal, no title. Before he left, the queen spoke one last time, not as a ruler, but as a witness. They were never conquerors, she said. They were engineers of survival. The human paused, then nodded, as if that was enough. The ship moved forward into open space, engines steady, systems flexible, and the galaxy changed forever, not with fire, not with war, but quietly.